I don't know if there's an order to this, so I'll just go. Hi, I'm Desiree Nash, and I am the writer of The Disappearance of Molly Mason. And this is a coming of age comedy that takes place in Corpus Christi, Texas in 1996. It is about a 10-year-old awkward girl who is trying to navigate the complexities of sixth grade social life and her family life. And she suddenly goes missing, which causes everyone in her small suburb, the community, to come together and kind of show her that she is loved and liked, and that all the little things don't really matter in the end. And of course, she's able to see all of this because she's not actually in danger. She's just hiding in the attic. And it's kind of like a modern day Tom Sawyer meets eighth grade. I definitely envision it as kind of like a Bo Burnham A24 type of vehicle, very low budge indie. Definitely a Texas story. Texas is throughout the whole story. I was raised in Texas, so it hits very close to home for me. A few things about her that, let you know why she even tried to run away or fake her disappearance. Is that just all these things sort of happen to her at once that involve, like, her friendships are dissolving, her best friend starts to become popular and starts to just sort of like forget her. She has her first kiss with her crush, and it's in front of everyone, and it's awful and it's embarrassing. And most of all, her secret is that she actually shits her pants all the time, and she thinks it's a secret. But when this all comes to fruition, she learns that everybody in the school actually does know about it. So truly, it's the end of the world for her. So she thinks the absolute only way that she will get anyone to actually care about her and maybe even forget about all of the embarrassing things is that if everyone thinks that she's been kidnapped. So that's the main gist of the script. So there you go. I don't even know if it's been 3 minutes, but that's what I got for you.
Yeah, hi, Des. So, yeah, I mean, I liked your script, and I thought it was very well done. I mean, certainly, I think that going off on the hoax part, right? Because I mean, this is a tale that we have heard before, right?
Right.
The kid that's pretending to, be in the well, or be in the barn, or being stuck somewhere, and and then it just turns out to not be true. And so certainly being able to, I would say, elevate on that, and really kind of address that even more so on looking at other examples of like real life experiences on what had happened to formulating your pitch, because it immediately people can relate to that, right? People can then have an exact reference point. And then, of course, the idea of wanting to know that you are loved, right? Wanting to know that people do care about you. And then, of course, the other is, have you ever just wanted to disappear? I think certainly would touch on that. Let's see. I mean, I would even say, like, for like the, because she doesn't go missing for like till like the first 30 minutes, right? The first 30 pages of your script, right? And so I think that you could even build that in with maybe even some more flashbacks, flash forwards of things to kind of build onto that, to kind of keep the reader, and then hopefully the viewer just really engaged in that story, and then building on the even the shouting stuff, and which is that's wild. But overall, yeah, that was very well done.
Thank you. I wrote
Mhm.
all of that down on
All
my
right.
paper here.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with everything that Carrie said. Focusing specifically on the pitch part. So the two things that are the most shocking or the most grabbing is, okay, 10-year-old disappears. Okay, immediately everybody would like, oh my God, right? Amber Alert, all that kind of stuff. And then and then secondly, and probably even first, is I shit my pants and everybody knew, right? Especially at 10 years old in front of the whole freaking school, right? So if when you say that, the second part, the shitting the pants part, everybody smiles, everybody laughs, everybody goes, oh my God, gee, right. And immediately you put them at the place you want them to be, the place where you identify with what your script is about. A time when something messed up happened in your life that you had no control, or you did, but it happened. But even worse than just it happening, it happens in front of your peers, everybody, right? And all of us have had that. We've all of us have embarrassed ourselves at one point in front of our, knowingly or unknowingly, right? And so, boom, you have me there when you go, you know, I said, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I want to hear the rest of this. Tell me what happened. And that's the way that I think I would, me personally, would pitch this story in that kind of very, very personal way. Because if you catch them with that story, then you can build on that. And even if they don't agree exactly with what it is that you're pitching, they might have other ideas. That weird idea of I shat myself in front of everybody, all of a sudden sparked their own creative shit going on, right? And so now you might even get them to start working with you in terms of moving this script to where it's going to be eventually when it's produced. And a lot of times, unfortunately, that's something that you're going to have to do anyway. You know, they're going to buy your script, but they're not going to buy all of your script. You know, they're going to buy the stuff they really, really like, and then they're going to ask you to change the other stuff, and then there'll be all kinds of, but by that point, you'll already be past, you know, you'll have found some road to making this movie. So that's what I would say about the pitch itself. The rest of the part, specifically, if you're pitching to somebody in Texas, you know, strongly emphasize that. If you're pitching to somebody out of Texas, where shooting in Texas might be less expensive, also emphasize that. Emphasize that you're from this place that you're writing about, so you know it really, really, really well. Yeah, that's, you know, there's all kinds of other notes. I would say always lead with your strongest, which in this case, I think it's the shitting thing, but as well, always have enough, always have enough to be able to play longer. You know, if you say, and that's it, and they'll come back and want more, right? I wouldn't say I shat myself and then that's it, right? You know, obviously, give them the rest of the pitch. What I'm trying to say though is, have more to say. Have more to say about each and every one of these things that you touched on, about the character, about the place, about and so forth and so on. And in that way, I think once they're excited, once you've hooked them, then you can give them the rest of the stuff. But certainly lead with that, with one of those two things, because those are the things that immediately grab us and we want to know what is the rest of the story. And that's the whole point. The whole point is to get them to listen to you for as long as you can, because the longer they listen to you, the better chance that they're gonna say yes.
And I was just gonna just touch on that as well, on being able to say, you know, have you ever been so embarrassed that you just wanted to disappear, right?
Mm.
And then and you know, just like what Valente was saying, everyone can relate to that, and then be like, well, imagine that, you know, you and then this happened. Everyone's like, what? So you know, absolutely.
Thank you.
Who do we have? Mitchell, you want to go ahead and La Burra? I'm ready.
All right. Hey guys, so today we have a 92-page horror drama called La Burra, the Legend of the, I'm so nervous, Legend of the Donkey Lady. It's an untapped Tejano legend set in San Antonio, Texas. If you type in the words, the Donkey Lady Bridge, it pops up on Google Maps, and it is a bridge you can go to. It's a beautiful bridge surrounded by trees, but at night, it falls victim to a ghost story that is known by every single San Antonian you could ever imagine. So my buddy and I, Costantino, who's not here with us today, we collaged the story of this legendary tale that has been untapped with personal stories of our mothers and the story that was told to us. And so we follow a teenager named Jenny, who's plagued by nightmares of a recently deceased mother, but she believes it might be actually the ghost, the nightmare, the Donkey Lady herself. But before we get to that, we start with our origin story. We open the film with the tragedy that happened to this woman named Doc Anderson, who was accused of witchcraft, and her family was set on fire in her house. And she tried to escape with her burning daughter's body. And they say that her face was melted and turned into the form of a donkey, her hands closed shut like hooves. And she prowls by the bridge looking for the next daughter to replace her lost one with. And so we give you the story, we open with this horrific opening, and then we fast forward to the 70s where traditions have come alive because of the story with these teenagers on the bridge, and they're honking their horns, trying to turn out their headlights, and supposedly it brings her out into the night, and they try to test it. But what do they find instead? They find our lead, Jenny Young, this Hispanic girl who is from a bilingual household, and she's calling home, and she comes home, and you realize that this is not where we're starting with. She is with her family who had recently lost their mother due to suicide, sadly, her mother, Maria. And she's left to take care of her father, Robert, who is constantly drunk on the couch, afraid to go in the bedroom he once shared with his wife. And she's left to take care of her little brother, Johnny, who is this 4-year-old autistic boy who loves drawing all over himself colors to express what he's feeling, because they have not told him that his mother is gone and where she really is. They keep telling her that she's at school and she's a teacher. Oh, she's working late, and not really telling him, or, so they're afraid to even embrace that. And Jenny's left by herself with that burden, taking care of the farm, trying to figure herself out as a 17-year-old girl. But then when their neighbor brings over a guard donkey, which, yes, a donkey that would protect from their goats being eaten because they find a corpse one day, it triggers this crazy thing in her mind. She starts seeing Maria, her mother, alive, breathing. No, not trying to emphasize, not trying to make it any creepier, but like as if she's never left. But she starts realizing these visions are a lie, and it probably is this legend. But she doesn't know if she's losing her mind or if it's true, trying to convince her father, her brother, that this is really happening, all the way leading up to the very end where she has to confront this woman herself in form underneath the bridge, where she's sucked into an abyss, where she has to make the decision. Am I going to replace a mother figure in my life with this terrifying creature who really just wants the same thing that I do, using Jenny as a daughter? Or am I going to be sucked into abyss and save my brother? And she decides to make that decision to leave, revealing the face, which the donkey lady herself wears the skull of her deceased donkey over her face because she's so terrified of her own burns. And she finally gets to see it. And we have this horrific moment where the audience hopefully will scream. And it's just because we've kind of built up to this. But Jenny finally escapes because the real Maria, the spirit herself, appears and washes her away, saving her daughter, letting Jenny know that her mother is still with her, even if she's not physically there. So Jenny becomes a different person, walking out from under the bridge, taking her brother in one arm, walking back home, knowing that she has to take the force of a mother. She has to step up to the occasion and be there for her family in ways that she never predicted, but making that her new role as a family member. And what's so crazy, to end it, my buddy and I, we've spent the last 2 years traveling back to San Antonio to be in the libraries and try to uncover what we can about this woman. And we have found the real one that existed at that time. It's such a tragic story. So it's weird because we have this villain for our lead character, but she really isn't a villain. She just had bad circumstances and she's trying to replace her heart. And so I think it's a really good contrast with the two of them together, needing each other, but also being terrified of each other.
All right.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, sorry, I was muted. Okay, Mitchell, a lot of information.
Yeah.
And so tighten it. We don't need to know some of those characters you tossed in there, or if we do, just the dad instead of the 2 sentences you did, just one name, the dad, the mom, the is there a specific story that keeps getting told, like the story of the Llorona. Okay, the Llorona is the story of this woman who puts her kids in a bag,
Right.
goes over to the river, throws them in the river, blah, 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 and now is destined to wander the world. Blah, 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 blah. If there is, and it's a really good story, I might lead with that. Hi, my
Gotcha.
name is
Okay.
Mitchell.
Smart.
Have you ever heard the story of the da 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 da, and then go into the story and tell the story, right? Don't make the story so long that I'm going to go like, oh crap. Okay, well, I'm listening to a 37-minute story now. No, pick out the really good parts and tell me that story, right? It's
Gotcha. Like
a minute and a
tease.
half probably, or something like 3 minutes, whatever it is, right? And then from there, then jump into, okay, this is the script we have, right? Tell the story of your lead and the story that's going to lead to that resolve, whatever that resolve is going to be. Like you were saying at the very end, we think she's bad, but she's really good, blah, 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 blah. That's the main story I want to hear. So that, and chop it down so that it's so concise, you don't have to talk so fast.
Gotcha.
I understand this at this particular time, we told you 3 minutes and okay, I got to get it all in. But what you really want is not to go so fast, because even if I don't miss some of what you're saying, I might think I missed it because you went so fast. Or I'm not remembering some of the stuff you just told me because now I'm up to under the bridge and this other kind of stuff, right?
Gotcha.
So that's specific about the pitch. Maybe I would go into to spicing up the whole pot. I might go into some of the lore of South Texas, some of the other stuff that happens in this weird place, because this is a weird place. We got we got like Llorona, and we got the big bird, and we got the chupacabra, and we got and we got right. So this is a place where that kind of stuff already happens, right? So let's put it in that world as well. Okay. So that the producer is going, oh, well, that's even, that's even more exciting that there's a place where all of this stuff is. I would want to know a little more about, the reason I was saying specifically stay with your lead character is I want to know more about her. The stuff you said, she was left with the farm, she was left with the kid, so I want to know her more so that I feel more for her, and that resolve is a little more a little more gut-wrenching for me, or heartwarming, or whatever that might be.
Gotcha.
Love the name La Burra. Love that it's a horror drama. Love that there's a guard donkeys, because there actually are guard donkeys. I don't know if that's a wives' tale or not, but apparently donkeys will guard your goats or guard your chickens or whatever if like coyotes come or something like that.
Yes.
Donkeys are like mean creatures.
There's videos too, man. They're terrifying. It's terrifying.
Right.
It's terrifying. Yeah.
So maybe play on that as well.
Okay.
Horror, just straight horror and straight drama sometimes gets into a hole. If you can bring comedy into it, and it can be with a donkey, oh man, no, seriously, you got something there.
Okay.
So yeah, I like the donkey. Anyway, that's it. I got it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I saw the script. I also liked it. I mean, I am in San Antonio, Texas, so of course, the donkulating, kind of like what Valeria was talking about. I mean, the ghost tracks, the
ghost tracks. Okay.
I mean, we've got all the stuff, going on here, and so certainly within San Antonio. But if you're pitching to somebody outside of San Antonio, outside of Texas, you certainly want to be able to bring your best foot forward, and kind of exactly what Valeria was saying, which is finding that real life story, or even, because it doesn't have to be true, but I'm sure that there's 100 different tales of the donkey lady, and people going missing and things of that nature. And so certainly looking at that, I definitely really liked kind of the Doc Anderson at the beginning, and humanizing her and kind of, making her a real person. So that way it kind of follows through. I did have a question on why you decided to set the movie in 1978.
So based on our research in the library, we noticed that there was a trend of articles where like it hit a point up to like 1978, and then all of a sudden it like fell off the map. And so it was really popular during that time. So we thought, well, those 20 years have gone by, it developed that story. And so we wanted to try to set it in a time where it was most prominent in that area. And that's what we base it off of. But I do understand, like, it's very specific. It is. Yeah.
I was curious about that. Yeah. I mean, certainly the spiritual aspects of it, the coming of age, you get, Jenny and Johnny, the kind of the guardian angel aspect, right? If you will. And I think that looking at that is also something that you could focus on as well, because that's always a great. It's a nice twist also in talking about spirituality and talking about the ideas of a guardian angel and a protector that's out there. Good versus evil, right? Donkey lady versus the mother and things of that nature, and that you could even explore that, explore those themes even more with your pitch. And let's see what else. Yeah, no, it's just solid. Yeah, so I really like the opening. Very well done. Yeah, like I said, spirituality, afterlife, things of that nature you could also explore.
So
Mitchell, do you tie 1978 with the resolve at the end of the movie? Do you say, and nobody saw her again, and that's why there were no more news reports?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we basically like say like, hey, this is like a real thing. It still continues today, right. And you can go visit the bridge yourself. Basically, yeah.
The upside to having somebody, I mean, you could. I haven't read the script, but you could include, and you probably might have already. Did you include those newspaper clippings in the movie? Do you put the camera on them, or do they flutter by, or do they
We've debated on like words like the ending, like when the credits kind of roll and they get written, directed by, and the producers come, and then you're seeing those like clippings come in, and they're like on little film reels and stuff.
Right.
But man, I have not thought about like it being a tie-in to the beginning, maybe too. It's not bad, man. I like that.
When you mentioned it was 1978 and there were newspaper stuff up to that point, and then it kind of filtered out. I'm just thinking, oh my God, well, that's a natural resolve to the whole thing. The girl killed the spirit, and the spirit doesn't, or frightened away, whatever it is. Anyway,
yeah, there's so many like, I mean, even news articles. Every Halloween, San Antonio does things where they kind of revamp it, so it continued. But for some reason, published articles in San Antonio Express was when for some reason it was so widely talked about. Yeah, so I gotta figure that out.
And then I did have a question. So you were saying that your writing partner Constantino?
Yes.
Now, do y'all typically pitch together, or are you the designated?
We usually pitch together. It's funny. We have like not rehearsed. We bounce back and forth just because like this is our
very important. It's extremely important, and so that's why I was just wanted to make sure that if you guys are going in to pitch together, that y'all have to rehearse that pitch, right?
I'm so sorry you guys didn't get to see it today.
Each of you guys taking a piece of the story.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Thank you so much.
All right, great.
Was Mac gonna pitch?
I think so.
Okay, cool.
All right,
good evening. Yes, I appreciate you guys letting me do this. I wanted a little experience at it. My name again is McStravick. I've been a coach and teacher for over 30 years. Having spent some time in the Marine Corps, I tend to be a little bit hardcore every once in a while. My little story is multiple vignettes, but this one comes because, number one, I had to teach sex ed, and being a child of the 70s, it's not always as comfortable as it seems to have to teach it. The second part of that is there is a young lady that I once kissed her neck, and in the process, I lost some gum in her hair. And so as I pride kept me from letting her know. So I began to maneuver it with my tongue. I'm sorry, Desiree, you're having to hear this. And then when she asked if anything's wrong, I mumbled no. And then I began to chew through her strands of hair next to her ear. And eventually she pulled away. And when she did, she discovered that wad of gum in my mouth with the hair extending from it. And ever since then, it's been one of those memories that have come to me. So as a coach, I've taken this young man, Emil Sanchez, and Emil, the coaches can't say his name, they call him Muley. And so Muley is the new coach. And in the Celtic belief, there are 3 stages of men. There's boy, there's warrior, and there's sage. And so my coaches, there's about 5 of them, they all are on this platform. And so Muley is the new coach, the green coach. So everything has to happen to Muley. And the first thing that has to go is pride. And so what we see is Muley having to teach sex ed and the consultant is the young woman he saw at the Racine boat races, where the churches all went down there. They compete to see who'll win. The Catholic Church wins in this regard. Muley trips when he's looking at the pretty girl and he falls into the water and becomes a figure of ridicule. We then see Muley going in the office telling the head coach, I can't do this. And he says, don't worry about it. You have a consultant. And in walks Ann Beckendorf. She is the nurse, but she's also the young woman that he tripped over and fell into the water when he saw her. Now he's in this embarrassing situation of discussing sex with a woman that he finds very attractive. And from there, he runs home, takes a shower. They're going to go on a date. He bathes, he cleans out his car with a rake because it's football season's at the end. He has to clean the car out. He throws his jacket off because he's dressed up for it's 1970s. And he gets his jacket back on. He drives the car to her house, which is in the small town. And along the way, because he does not have air conditioning, he knows there's a smell, a pungent, rather tang smell that's following along with him. He does not know where it is. He checks the car. He checks around the tire. He pulls over. He then proceeds to her house because he doesn't want to be late, because that's not what a man does. He gets to the house. He goes in. Her dad's a cop. He's confronted with the dad making smelling noises, looking hard at him. He says, it may be my aftershave. And the police officer says, son, that ain't no aftershave. And so then they get in the car.
That's time, Mac.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay, so quick question. Coach of what? Of what sport?
I have coached football, basketball, track. I started a program in Katy, Texas for junior high for soccer. We had a lot of at-risk Hispanic youths. And so we started a program there that was not affiliated with the school, but we used the school name, Los Tigres. And we went from having, 11 boys to about 35 boys came out for soccer, and we held them accountable for the grades.
So your character for Muley, what is he a coach of?
What did he coach? He would be a football coach. He would
be a football coach. Okay.
Yes, sir. And I know that you're Alamo City Studios, so I'll just say this. In 1970s, there was very few sports but football. Everything else was off season.
Nice. So you got a football coach named Muley who's teaching sex ed. And now this is all based in the 70s?
Yes, sir. It's all based in the 70s. Sex ed was probably pretty controversial there in the 70s. And so I don't want you to think this is the Waltons, but at the same time, I want you to know that Muley's a good Catholic, French, Hispanic lad that came over from Louisiana. And so it's going to be a real ticklish thing for him to have to teach that.
So would you classify this as a dramatic comedy?
Yes, sir. I had some young lady read it. She said she thought it was a rom-com. And so maybe that fits in there as well. But for me, yes, sir.
Okay. Because and ultimately, I can just imagine that Muley is going to end up falling in love with the girl, and hopefully they're going to ride off into the sunset together.
That's the case. And what I'd hoped at the end was, and I know I ran out of time, I apologize. Mm-hmm. At the end, there's going to be another embarrassing moment with the chewing gum. And what we get is, what I hope to get at is just a moral point in there. What it is, there has to be truthful communication between two people, and Muley has to move past his pride if he's going to keep that relationship.
And I really think that that's your focus. I mean, the
Well, I think Terry might have.
story was really funny.
Oh, there he is.
Oh, did I freeze?
Yeah, you froze a little bit. We heard you say "I think," and then we didn't see anymore.
That's right. But no matter what, always do. That was the most important point I can make. No, in identifying what your story is, right? If it's a romantic comedy, you really need to make sure that that is clear right out the gate. This is a romantic comedy about, a coach, meeting a girl in the 70s, but it's surrounded by this fun, sexual education. It's so where you can have these interesting stories, and of course, all awkward. Everything is awkward. You have this very awkward character. You have the girl come in.
Why? He froze again, right as he was about to say something good. I'm gonna wait for him for like 5 seconds. If he's not unfreezing, all right, he's not unfreezing. But yeah, I agree totally with what he's saying. Something that might help is Mac. First of all, Mac McStravick, love your name. Look up some statistics on when sex ed started, maybe even look up some of those freaky sex ed videos that they showed us in school in the, in the 60s and 70s, whatever those were, with the sperm floating toward the thing and the, the flower or the bee or whatever, right? To put us in that idea of, this is where we were, folks. We didn't have no internet. We didn't, we hardly even had the telegram back there, right? It was a darkened day. And then on top of that as well, not only was it what it was, but the individual that's coming into the story comes from a belief system where it's just, we weren't talking about it yet, and it was very, very awkward, and it was very, very I want to say shameful, but not shameful, but we did kind of sort of feel shame. I'm sorry.
Private.
Yes. Yeah, totally private, right? And something that you expect parents to do with their kids. And then as a teacher, certainly not in a mixed company, dad has talks with son and mom talks with daughter and but not in this classroom kind of thing. So it is play on the awkward and all that kind of stuff. Yes, totally agree that it's rom-com. I totally, that's how I see it. It could be different, but that's how I see it. You're leading us off with that story. Brilliant, brilliant. Love the way you talk. Love the confidence in you. When you're telling me a story, you already know. You get into this character and you start doing you and you pull me in, right? So definitely keep that, but find a way to jump from there to where that story goes. And then what I would say is write it out, type it out and read it back to yourself. And if it makes sense, great. And if it doesn't, try and find how it's going to work. But I would definitely want to say in the first 2 minutes, I want to know who your leads are and what your story is. Romantic comedy, football coach, 1970s, awkward sex ed teacher with the woman he fell in the water for, real quick, right off the top like that. And then from there, I think the pacing of your rhythm, of your voice, and where are you at right now, Mac?
I'm in my house. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, what state? Where in the country?
I'm in Texas. I'm in Richmond, Texas.
Okay. So wherever it is that you're at, you make me feel like you are in an original place. And so don't lose you when you're pitching. In other words, don't think that all of a sudden you have to become an individual who is now pitching a film, right?
Right.
Stay you, because that is the most unique thing, and that is what they want, things they haven't seen yet, right? And so if nothing else, even if your script's not interesting, you're interesting. And so that's going to keep them listening. So whatever gets your foot in the door, don't matter, right? You want them to listen to what you have to say. Now, again, it can't be bullshit, and it has to have some kind of substance to it. And so get to the script, tell us the story, tell us the characters, and then maybe come back to another story. And hopefully what you had done is, because you started with the chewing gum in the hair, you would have bookended it at the very end with the way your particular script ends or something like that. But that's what I would say. I'd say right now, the most unique thing about you is you and not your script. And so that's fine, though. That's fine. That's not a bad thing. Like I said, anything that gets you in the door. Be faster on your pitch so that you get all the things that you want in there. And it's not so much be faster, because I told Mitchell to be slower. Be more precise about what it is. That's what it is. Just be more precise about that. And then in the first 2.5 minutes, for sure. And then after that, you can ramble, and then the people start asking you questions. Well, then you can ramble ahead about that as well. Anyway,
Thank you.
Carrie, you're back, Carrie.
I'm back. Yeah. And so, I mean, I apologize for dropping out on you guys. But yeah, I mean, you certainly, very much like what Valenta says, you really want to pace it out within beats. So you want to structure your 3 minutes. I'm coming out the gate for the first 30 seconds. I'm going to tell this part. I mean, of course, the chewing gum. It freeze again.
There you go. We're back. You're back.
Oh my gosh.
You're back.
But you definitely want to time yourself out, so that way you're not dragging the story, the story right out the gate. And then that's, have you ever been in the situation, chewing gum, hair, gnawing at a girl's hair? It's hilarious, but you definitely want to tighten it up. And then that's what this romantic comedy is about, is this awkward character named, Muley, and we're going to kind of go on his voyage.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I think we're done, guys. So what's going to happen is Carrie, and unless either of the three of you had a question or something you wanted to ask, we're good.
No, sir.
Okay, we're good. So Carrie and I were going to talk with each other, and you will be informed. That will be released tomorrow during the award ceremony, and where I will be the host. Yes, I will be the host. So thank you guys for being with us. Thank you all out there in video land, in internet land, for being with us as well. Carrie, you want to say anything about anything?
No, great job, guys. Just keep, it's a script within a script, right? I mean, your pitch is your script. So you really need to rehearse. So that way, Mitchell, you're not so nervous when you're coming out the gates, right? Getting those beats, it really is, because, they talk about the elevator pitch, and that's kind of where the 90 seconds is, right? If you can't, you have to razzle and dazzle me, right? You have to wow me, because you have to remember that producers are getting pitched 100 different stories a day. I literally have people just coming in my office. What would you think about, right? And so you really have to have that wow factor, and that just comes from training yourself over and over again and rehearsing over and over again, to really find that awesome 90 seconds where you have your story from front to back, you have your characters from front to back, and you're able to keep everybody engaged for those 90 seconds. Like, you can't turn off the screen.
Yeah. And actually pitching is the thing you need to do. How do you get better at something? Doing it over and over and over and over and over and over. So yeah. And yeah, congratulations and thank you guys for being here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys for, thank you. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Great job, guys.
Did everybody leave? Magdiel, are you there? I can't hear you because you're muted.
Yeah, I think we're off live and we're just coming back on the screen. So yeah, we'll get together with Carrie and you, and we'll come up with who you guys decide, and then we'll add it onto the awards ceremony.
I'm sorry, when do you want to do that?
We can shoot him a text message, see if he can join in right now.
Sure.
Okay. He's coming back on.
Cool.
The one that hadn't confirmed was Mitchell. I was wondering which script it was his.
Right. Well, he seemed confused too. Maybe he's got 3 or 4 scripts. It wouldn't surprise me if he, they might have submitted like 3 or 4 scripts to 3 or 4 different places. And like, which one did we send you?
Yeah, Mitchell was
The
Burra?
La Burra, yeah.
Yeah. Desiree
La Burra.
was The Disappearance of Molly Mason,
Molly Mason, yeah.
and Mac is First Date, Third Date.
First date, third date.
Third date,
That's from Mac.
right?
Okay, so we have to add in the results to the award ceremony video tonight so that it can render overnight. And we
Oh,
can have
okay.
it ready for tomorrow.
Got you.
Yeah. So if you guys could
What'd you think,
pick
Eric?
who you want, who you like.
I mean, I think was it first date? Did Mac not have a script?
He said it was a vignette. It was a series of vignettes, but he does have a name: First Date, Third Date, right?
Yeah, I was just curious because I didn't see one loaded up, so I was just,
Oh,
or if it was an actual just a pitch, right? It was just an idea. It sounded more like, well, no, because he did say that someone read it.
right.
I was
And they
just,
call it a rom-com.
yeah, I'd be curious
It was a
on.
13-page document.
It's a 13-page document. So it really is more of a pitch
Right.
than an actual fleshed out. And that's what it sounded like to me. It sounded like he had like a cool idea that he was like trying to run by some people, which was funny. But whereas La Burra, right? And then of course the
Disappearing of Molly Mason.
we're very fleshed out. I mean, as far as I think, I mean, to me, it's probably between Mitchell and Des.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I thought that that Mitchell gave a more complete pitch,
Yeah,
filling us in on more of the standard kind of pitch.
And yeah, and it's a tight, because he's got a, and the script is like 90 pages, so it's right there. I think Dez's script is like 135 pages, so I think she needs to tighten back up. Whereas, if I was going to send somebody into a room, I'd probably send Mitchell. The only thing, I wish that Constantino had joined him to kind of see that dynamic between the two. But ultimately, yeah, I mean, I would probably say that out of the three, I thought Mitchell's story and his premise, it was a standard, horror script that you can easily, market to, and on a basic monster premise, creature feature with spiritual and guardian angels.
Yeah, it kind of felt like Desiree, and when you bring up the fact that it's 130 pages, that maybe it is a little too, it's not concise enough yet. She hasn't squeezed it enough yet to take off the stuff that, because she's got a lot of stuff in there. I mean, just off the top, she went, 96 corpus, 10-year-old disappearance, and so yeah, I think that I would say Mitchell as well. I would definitely say Mitchell, although that I think that of the three, this idea of, man, remember that one time you completely embarrassed yourself in front of everybody and you wanted to just die, you wanted to literally just dig a hole right there and disappear.
Well, what I dig about the disappearance of Molly Mason was the hoax aspect of it, in that you have a 10-year-old coming up with this elaborate hoax, and then to find out, and then of course the audience wondering why did this, this elaborate hoax, and then to find out that it was such a real freaking personal thing that she found out that everybody knew that she shits herself. I got to get out of here, and so that's really compelling. I think if Des can really hone in on that, I think she'll really have something.
I think she really will. And I think that although the horror script, I think if it's a good script, it'll sell, but I think this other one has a much deeper meaning that would make it a better script in that way. Actually has something to say rather than just entertain. But again, all of that said, I think Mitchell actually gave a pitch. That's the one who I would go with.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
Cool. Good deal. Well, there you go. It's Mitchell.
Okay. Got it. All right. Thank you.
Absolutely. Always a
All right.
pleasure.
Well, it's good seeing you again, brother.
One of these days, we're going to be able to meet in person again.
I'm hoping by the end of the year, maybe September, maybe.
Yeah, we're scheduling September, and if we have to postpone it, we'll postpone it to in person.
Right.
Come on, get me down to the valley, man.
I need my tacos and my botanas, man.
I'm ready.
All right.
All right, we'll see you guys.
End of September.
Take care, Kerry.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.